Hi everybody, it's March 30th, 2025, and this is today's installment of my video journal of my recovery from watching the British Columbia New Democratic Party government with David Eby as Premier and Nikki Sharma as Attorney General lock up my little brother Paul Karen, 64, with Down syndrome, and that I believe that they had him killed with medical assistance in dying after he had a stroke on April 13th of 2024. So I'm posting these videos just as a way of kind of therapy. I had to, and after my brother died, the nun who the government appointed as my brother's guardian brought on an application to have me declared a vexatious litigant. So that's a very rare order. And what it does is it takes away my rights to defend myself in court and to act in if someone aggrieves me, my right to take action against anybody to defend myself or to get a just result. So this weekend has been like a whirlwind because I've been trying to help the Conservative Party of Canada in every way that I can think of. My candidate is a young man named Paul Lambert. He's a dad with 2 small children and a wife, Jackie. And I went to the opening of their constituency office, or their election office, rather, at 2840 St. John Road in Port Moody yesterday, and I spoke with a few of my friends from the British Columbia Conservative Party. And I had told them that I wasn't able to help with the canvassing for the election on April 28th that was called by Justin Trudeau, or rather Mark Carney, after Justin Trudeau resigned. And so I said I can't help until April 11th because I have to file. I've been given leave to appeal the vexatious litigant order that the judge made. She made it after I had to leave court because I have a restriction, a doctor's certificate saying I can't be in court for more than 2 hours a day. And she just did 5 hours, 2 days in a row. And she did a bunch of other things. My materials weren't before the court, and it was just vicious. It's a political setup, a political lynching, because the Liberal government, the federal Liberal government, and Justin Trudeau hates my guts, and David Eby, evil David Eby, of course, wanted to get his pound of flesh. So they had me declared a vexatious litigant, but I've gotten leave to appeal to the Supreme Court, or rather to the Court of Appeal of British Columbia, and I have to file my written argument by April 11th, which is a tremendous amount of work. And it's harder than acting as a lawyer and representing a client, because you can't just walk away from it at the end of the day. I have to regurgitate all the painful details of watching my brother be locked up for 588 days and me doing every single thing on earth I could think of to have him freed. It's really a form of torture. It was torture of him and torture of me. But I did a artificial intelligence search of the issue of guardianship, and the artificial intelligence person, or whatever you want to call it, robot, came up with a case that I hadn't even seen, where it said the most important consideration in appointing a guardian of an incapable adult is their willingness to facilitate visits by other family members. And the evil nun that the BC government appointed Paul's guardian terminated my visits with him after I reported her to the police for the fraudulent and forged power of attorney. So she did not allow, and she filed an affidavit with the judge saying that she would allow supervised visits, and then she just never did allow them. And they never set them up either. So Paul died alone among strangers who didn't understand his speech or communication. It was really a form of torture. So I found this case that said that, but my argument always was that the fact that I lived close by Paul meant that I should be his guardian. And they didn't even consider that. But what I found, the GP chat came up with a case where the judge said that the sibling the oldest sibling who was best situated to take care of an elderly mother who had schizophrenia and dementia, the judge said that that person wasn't suitable because he would not facilitate visits with the other family members. So that's going to be the gist of my argument when I go back before the Court of Appeal, is the two most important considerations that should have made me feel confident I would be appointed Paul's guardian was, number one, I've always facilitated visits by other family members. In fact, I took Paul to Newfoundland to visit my father and the evil nun. And secondly, that the fact that I live close by is the other important consideration. So, long story short, I found a case that gave me some direction in terms of how to plan my argument for my written argument for the Court of Appeal to try and set aside this vexatious. Like, what I'm saying is it was reasonable for me to keep on fighting to visit my brother because the law says that a person like in my situation, being close geographically and the person most likely to facilitate visits, meant that I should have been the guardian. But so that's what I was working on yesterday. And then when I went to this party for the Conservative Party of Canada candidate Paul Lambert, the Conservative Party of BC candidate Hamed Najafi said, well, why don't you just canvass, a couple of hours a day, just take a break, because I told them I couldn't do anything until after April 11th. And he said, it'll help refresh you if you just go out and do some door knocking. It's called door knocking. So I went there at 2:30 today to their office, and we went out, and for some reason we got the steepest. Coquitlam is a beautiful, beautiful city, but what it is it's a series of mountain ridges. They're very high mountain ridges for a city on the banks of the Fraser River. And so we were climbing the steepest neighborhoods, like the Grouse Grind, to do this door knocking. And so I'd come up to the door and I would be huffing and puffing, but it was so refreshing to meet all these wonderful citizens and knock on the door, and everybody was friendly and kind. And we got a 49% success rate for people that are going to vote for the Conservative Party of Canada. And we got 25 orders for signs. So we got an excellent results. And it was very gratifying. It was actually the normal rate of response of positive people saying they're going to vote. When you knock on the door, you ask if we could hope for their support. And the normal rate is 33%, but we got 49% today. But it was like almost funny, because here I'm dressed in my nice ultra suede suit, blue suit for Conservative Party, and climbing these mountains. And it was the one of the toughest workouts I've ever had anywhere. It was like, it was like doing the Grouse Grind. And I did that from 6:30 till, I think we stopped at 7:30. Sorry, from 2:30 till 7:30 today. This is Sunday. And this morning, so that I would have time to do this, I went to a 9 a.m. Mass at Our Lady of Fatima, so a much earlier Mass. Normally I go to the 5 o'clock Mass because I like to sleep in on Sunday. But I got up early and went to the 9 o'clock Mass. And then I ran back uphill from where the church is to my home. But the Mass was in French. So the whole Mass was in French. It was beautiful. All the singing was in French. And so what I did was I just followed along with the materials in English and all the readings and the gospel and everything else, where I had the written materials in English, but I just listened to the priest. And he was struggling with his French as well. You could see he wasn't a native. I could hear he was not a native French speaker. He was a very lovely old gentleman. I hope he doesn't mind me saying he's old, but I'm old too. And so as I was leaving the church, I shook his hand and I said, "I'm from Montreal." And as soon as I said, "I'm from Montreal," the blood just drained from his face, because he's thinking, "Oh my God, she's going to see that my French isn't the smoothest." And I said, "But I don't speak French." And I don't. But it was amazing the number of words that I recognized during this beautiful Mass. So it was I hope I got my 10,000 steps in. But if I didn't, I would be very surprised. But it was so, what struck me about these neighborhoods is how steep they were. And how steep the driveways were. Like, to get up to the front door, it's like climbing the Grouse Grind to get up to the front door. But anyways, it was wonderful, and I had a lot, Paul Lambert explained to us how to do this, canvassing his way. He's very specific in how he likes to have it done. And it was a wonderful workout. Well, I took the SkyTrain back from the election office for the Conservative Party of Canada in Port Moody, and I treated myself to a taxi from the SkyTrain station to my home. So I ran up to the first cab in line, and this guy, I never had an experience like this before. He was an old guy with long white beard and a turban, but anyway, so as I'm, he's the first in line, so that's the one you get into of the cabs. And he started to drive away with me, half in the cab and half out. And he said, "No, no, no." So he must have got a call to the airport for an airport ride or something that was more lucrative than whatever I was going to be doing. But he started to drive away with me, half in, half out of the cab. And I almost fell under the cab. And I had to, struggle to get out. And then he just drove off. And I went to the next cab in line. He said, "Oh my God," he saw what happened. And I said, "That guy almost killed me." And he said, "Yeah, I don't know that guy. He's new." And I just couldn't believe it. I had such a productive day and I was sort of on cloud nine. It was a beautiful spring night, 12 degrees, with the cherry blossoms out everywhere, the rhododendrons out everywhere, azaleas out everywhere. It was just the most beautiful night. It just smelled beautiful with the little breeze. And then I get into this cab and the guy just about kills me. But anyways, so it was a very productive day. And what I would say to everyone, the Liberal Party and the NDP Party of Canada have made my life a living hell. They did nothing to help when Paul was locked up, even though his federal pension was going into L'Arche. And they are the worst when you're faced with door after door after door after door of voting citizens. And, they ask you about the different issues and they have questions. But all I could think of was how the Liberal and the NDP governments have driven Canada financially, the economy, let alone what they did to my little brother. Bonnie Zarilla was my MP and Jagmeet Singh was Paul's MP, and I've never seen Bonnie Zarilla, although I went to her office every single day. Her office is across the street from my apartment. And Jagmeet Singh never responded once. He never even responded to say, "I can't help you." And I wrote him every day. But not only the personal attack that they did on my brother and I, which was torture, the worst miscarriage of justice in Canadian history, Jagmeet Singh and Bonnie Zarillo wouldn't lift a finger, not a damn finger. But the opportunity to work for the Conservative Party of Canada, they really need your help. The only thing the NDP and the Liberals know how to do is get elected. And with this little maneuver of shutting down Parliament for 11 weeks, proroguing Parliament for 11 weeks, and then closing it all together, they think that this is going to be there, and bringing in this heavyweight, so-called heavyweight, Mark Carney, who's three passport carnage, I call him. He's a slave of three masters and a servant of none. He doesn't even know about the École Polytechnique massacre in Montreal. You know why? Because he was in Oxford fooling around. He hasn't lived in Canada for 10 years, and he won't be here 1 minute after he loses on April 28th. Not 1 minute. He's the worst. He is Trudeau. It's these luxury beliefs of carbon taxing people into oblivion, taking away beef, making human beings' lives hell. And the first thing that Mark Carney will do is he will expand euthanasia in Canada to incapable adults who cannot consent, and to children. That's his big goal. Because these people, they like to kill people. That's one thing they like to do. We've seen that. 60,000 dead since Justin Trudeau took power on October 19th of 2015. 60,000 innocent, vulnerable people killed extrajudicially with no legal oversight of police or judges at all. All it takes is the signature of any two medical professionals and that of the victim. And we all know how that can go wrong. People don't believe it when I tell them how it works. They don't believe it. We'll believe it. And the first thing that Mark Carney will do is he will expand Canada's right to kill its citizens to incapable adults and children. So get out there. Help your Conservative candidate needs your money, they need your time, they need your help, they need your door knocking. Here I am, almost 70 years old, with a heart condition, lupus, and I was out for 5 hours knocking on doors in the steepest neighborhoods in Canada. You can get out there too. If you haven't got time, give money. Find out who your candidate is right after watching this video. And get out and help. Canada won't exist. Mark Carney's wife's company said that he intends to fold Canada as soon as he wins. What does that mean, fold Canada? What the hell? It doesn't sound good to me. There's nothing in it for him at all to keep Canada going. And Trudeau said Canada is a post-national nation. Anyways, I'm very tired, completely worn out from running up and down mountains in Coquitlam all day. But if I can do that, you can do it too. We need your help. Find out who your candidate is and get the hell out and help. We cannot survive a fourth term of Liberal NDP insanity. Canada's GDP is lower than Mississippi. I've been to Mississippi, and you don't want to live in Mississippi. And Canada's GDP has been driven into the ground. Every economic metric you can think of has been destroyed by Justin Trudeau with the advice of three passport carnage. That's it for today. I love you all. Take care.